Hi, everyone. I'm DeFi Dad. You're watching episode 52 of Yield TV. Hey, welcome back. It is Monday, December 21st, 2020. Today, I'm going to be joined in just a moment by Amadeo Brands. We're going to be talking about the countless issues in DeFi over just the last week, all the big news that's been happening there. After that, we'll also be interviewing Victor Rortvedt, I think is how you pronounce his name. He is the founder of rTrees and the recent co-founder of Spendless. So we'll learn more about that later. Before we do get started, I wanted to remind folks, as always, this is powered by Zapper. I work at Zapper, so this is all a part of our initiative at Zapper to educate more on DeFi. And so just want to remind you that, let's go ahead and just quickly log in here into, or share my screen for Zapper. Here we go. Cool. So Zapper is a DeFi dashboard. Put simply, it's there for you to connect your Ethereum wallet so that you can track your portfolio. So here's an example at defidad.eth. You actually can enter this address just using the ENS if you want to explore this portfolio, just to see like what a DeFi portfolio might look like if you're just getting started. You can track everything from the tokens in your wallet to whether you have staked assets or deposits, including liquidity pools. So a quick example here is I am in the Power Index WETH liquidity pool and balancer, and this is actually staked in Power Pool. So I'm earning rewards from that, and you can track those here. So I have 134 of this CVP token that I can still claim. You can break it out here too by what platform you're in. I think the other real magical thing that you have available to you in the same dashboard is a DEX aggregator. So this is powered by the 0x API. It means that you're getting the same rates as what you would get on matcha.xyz. So if I were to go in here and let's say I were to trade 100 ETH, even though I don't have 100 ETH here for uni, it'll route it through the best liquidity pools to get you the best rate. Let's see if I try WBTC here, if we get anything more interesting. There we go. So you can see this trade is broken out across Uniswap V2, some private market makers with 0x, Balancer, and SushiSwap. I think the future is DEX aggregators. If you are using Uniswap, SushiSwap, Balancer, whatever, these are fantastic DeFi liquidity sources, but it's like searching for an airline ticket, airline by airline, versus looking at a search engine. So this is a way to get better rates and to ensure that you're getting the best trades. The last thing here to point out is the Invest tab is where we offer what we call zaps. Zaps are a way to add liquidity to different liquidity pools across DeFi. You can start with one of many different tokens, those that are more liquid here like ETH, DAI, and so on. It doesn't have to be a token that is in the liquidity pool. And then we do all the work for you under the hood of basically trading that token so that you get the optimal or optimized LP share here. So that's my Zapper advertisement for today. And with that all being said, let's go ahead and bring on Amadeo Brands. Here we go. Amadeo, welcome to Yield TV. How you doing?
Hello. Nice to be here, DeFi Dad. It's very nice. And yeah, cool intro about Zapper. I'm also using Zapper a lot. It's an amazing product indeed. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. I honestly caught myself the other day thinking, like, when's the last time I truly reminded people, you know, other than like it says powered by Zapper here, when's the last time I like just was walking through like all this utility that's there, you know, like even just reminding folks that if you add liquidity to SushiSwap, you can now stake that through Zapper. So we're trying to enable people to do it all in one place. And anyways, hopefully that's helpful to people. I want to remind everyone then, so the reason I'm excited to talk with Amadeo here is, so he's the partner and CTO at DeFi Capital. He's been in the space, I think, since like 2013, 2012. He's the co-founder of EOI Digital, which we'll talk more about here. He's an instructor of DeFi 101 and 201 courses that are on the Ivan on Tech Academy, which you recorded these last January. A lot's changed, but I mean, you were really ahead of the curve to do this. So anyways, man, just, great to meet you. And I've always really admired your work. You do really high quality content. So really appreciate that, because I think that's what's going to build adoption in our space is education.
I completely agree with that, especially when we were all going to the hard bear market in 2018, 2019. The best thing that we could do was education, and hats off for Ivan on Tech. And Ivan, he pressed through so hard and also motivated me to use my DeFi knowledge that I have built up over the years in his academy, and share that with his students and people that are doing his courses. So that's been really amazing. And I have been basically studying token economics from the start, because I was always very, very intrigued about the economic and mechanisms and the computer science behind blockchain systems, where also my study background is in computer science and economics. And that really clicked for me. So I've been studying DeFi when it was still called token economics, basically.
Yeah, we were just talking about this beforehand, and God forgive me, every time when we kick off, I then tweet the link out so people can watch it. I always like joke around with guests. I'm like, did he just tune out? Is he checking his email at the very start of the interview? No, we're all good now. So I was curious, like, what drew you to DeFi? Because again, you've been into crypto long before that. I think we were both just talking a bit about, before we got started, we were talking about the fact that, like, a lot of the macro conditions of the world right now are, it's crazy to see things happening that we kind of, I don't want to say we never dreamed of it, because you don't want this to happen, but we all have discussed, like, well, if the government just starts printing the shit out of money, and people realize that their fiat currency, especially like the US dollar of all of them, is being devalued, they might actually grow more interested in crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum and DeFi in general. But anyways, what drew you into DeFi?
Yeah, so it's not only the inflation what drew me into DeFi. What mostly drew me into DeFi, I was IT consultant in the Netherlands. And I was working for banks and insurance companies. And I was always amazed by the man in the black suit that was earning like 10 times more than me as a, starting off media junior software developer, that was just going to these huge companies and then working my way up as more of a senior developer. And it was always that they had so many weird requests, and it seemed like every time when I got into like a boardroom or a meeting that I wanted to like take these people and just, pack them up a little bit. So put the dust off them. It was just, it was a little bit of a painful, experience, but it was very, I learned a lot from that, because that way I learned more about some fundamental database design, or like some fundamental ways that these banks and stuff are constructed. And actually by that, I was always interested in blockchain, and then I proposed to my company at the time. It was a smaller consultancy firm in Java, working with SAP and all like ERP systems, etc. So I was not working on the core banking infrastructure, but already the infrastructure around that core infrastructure was so opaque and so old school that I was just like, well, I think there is technically a much better system. And at that time, I was working at an insurance company that was a semi-government company. So it's partially controlled by the government, partly just corporate. So it was an interesting mix. Basically, a company with too much budget that they wanted to push software too. They had a very legacy stack, and I was that time discovering Ethereum. This was in 2015, 2016. I was like, wait a minute, we can basically put this whole stack, we can put it on chain and give, the government has like the highest key. So I thought out a whole system to implement this in these organizations, and then nobody listened. So I was like, okay. And then I started working at and now I work at DeFi Capital, but back then my job, I was working for another crypto hedge fund. It was the first crypto hedge fund in the Netherlands. They are now taking some different strategic decisions. So I to basically my own hedge fund now. But that I found them. I was like, well, then I will probably just need to raise some more power and capital in order to make this industry more mature and let people listen to me when I propose better, technical structures to them.
Yeah. Can you remind me too, DeFi Capital, is it best to refer to it as like a hedge fund, or do you describe yourselves as something else?
Yeah, so it's an investment fund. So we give people exposure to the digital assets, so to capital assets. I see a DeFi asset as capital assets. Absolutely. So you can actually value DeFi asset with clear valuation matrices, is like price to earning ratios. You can look at a lot of different metrics and select certain positions in your portfolio. You can also hedge against certain positions. So that is what we do at DeFi Capital. You can check out the strategy at like deficapital.com. And in January, we're going to release our new strategy. So right now we're a little bit still under the radar a little bit. And how I see DeFi Capital is basically a centralized pool of funds for more high worth individuals and family offices, and they want to pool their capital into DeFi. And what then DeFi Capital does is providing a voice for that group of people for the betterment of the DeFi ecosystem. And that's also what we tell them. And it's basically for like hyper financial inclusion. And we also position it as an investment in social good. So not only as an investment in something that is just generating alpha, because a lot of these high net worth individuals, they also want to have an impact on the world. And I think DeFi will have a huge impact on the world.
Amadeo, of those high net worth individuals, I'm curious, what do they find most transformational about DeFi? Like, when does the light bulb start to go off? Anything you can share about trying to educate them and like what really helps them to finally realize, oh, I want to be involved in this?
Yeah, so basically what is really helping a lot in the oh wait, an alarm goes off there. 1 second.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, take your time.
All right. Sorry, I have a lot of alarms here for some.
Well, we can all talk about Ledger here in a bit and why everyone should probably.
There was a fan outside, Ledger support fan.
Yeah, that's right.
No, so the point, what is taking these high net worth individuals or family offices, what interests them the most? Well, to be honest, it's a lot of education still. So if you say DeFi, or they say, oh, Bitcoin, right? So they don't really understand it yet. So there's a lot of education. But what mostly clicks with them is when you say to people that have actually a little bit more capital, they all experience weird banking systems and stuff like that. I mean, if you have, let's say you have, like a couple of million, well, you cannot really put that into one bank. It's always like a lot of like compliance issues. So when you basically say to them, we have an alternative financial market that is being created, where we have stable assets, where we have capital assets, where we can create structured products, et cetera, they really start to like bang, they start to click, and it's like, let's go, you know?
Amadeo, how about, could you share then more on like, how do you even explain DeFi? Like, this is one of the hardest questions that I get asked. You know, I feel like I'm more equipped to tell you, here's how you can zap into the power index liquidity pool and stake it, because you're talking with someone who's more of a peer at that point. But when you're speaking to someone who's either brand new to crypto, or you're speaking to someone who at least has held something like Bitcoin or Ether, there's just so much to unpack there. So anyways, I'm curious if you have any tips for how you explain DeFi to folks. And also, reminder to everyone, if you ever check out the 101 or 201 DeFi courses on Ivan on Tech Academy, that's Amadeo, so you can learn firsthand from him there.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I always recommend everybody to go to do the course. It's quite interesting. I just didn't sleep for a couple of days, and I just did the course because this was also in the time in the Philippines. There was some government unrest and stuff like that, so it was a very interesting time for me. And there are some very funny stories, but we will not get into right now. Yeah. Basically, when I can share. I don't know if I can share my screen. Yeah, I can do.
In the middle center of the screen there, there's a share screen button, and then I'll add it here once you're ready.
Nice. So we actually have I will very shortly show this. This is a presentation we show to like high net worth individuals.
Perfect. There we go.
It's basically saying what is like, we give like a masterclass decentralized finance. This was like a kind of a recent masterclass that we gave, and we really started the simple terms, right? So what is DeFi, decentralized finance, an ecosystem, a compromise of financial applications on top of a blockchain system. That's how I start, and I basically say you don't have to trust the company, you have to trust the protocol, and both sides, CeFi and DeFi, have the same purpose, but have different ways of achieving that purpose.
Have you found that there is a confusion between CeFi and DeFi? I feel like I'm somewhat proud when I see DeFi being flung around as like a marketing term, because I'm like, I definitely I take pride in having contributed to what DeFi means. But at the same time, I worry for those that are newer to the space, you know, that, hey, try this DeFi staking on XYZ exchange. And you're like, whoa. I mean, I'm not downplaying if you want to stake and you want to give up custody, fine, go for it. I don't see anything wrong with that if that's what you want, but know that is not decentralized finance. That is you giving up control of your assets. Anyways, just curious, like, do you feel like this is going to be a problem in the coming bull market with what is DeFi versus what is CeFi?
Yeah, I think it already is, actually, and I explain it by this, but I will. This is a quick overview. So I basically say you do not have to trust software or software gatekeepers or bureaucracy. You just trust minimized software. What for me really helps is this metric over here to show them the financial risks, where you have like, if it's DeFi, you are in the zero trust tier 0, basically. Everything outside that tier 0 is basically not DeFi, and needs to be named more like open finance, I guess.
Yeah. Open finance is it's a nice term, I think, for like that hybridized approach. I mean, the main thing is giving up control of your assets. That's the one I want to make sure that people understand. If you give up control of those assets to another party, it's not DeFi. And then at the same time, too, I would be willing to admit that if you give up control of your assets to a smart contract, be aware of whether there are centralized controls there. And that, again, doesn't mean you shouldn't use it. It just means it's good to be aware of the risks that are involved there, to know that, like, if there is a centralized control of that smart contract, well, by proxy, someone has control of your assets. So,
and this is still a big problem. And my kudos go to Bankless, by the way. This is some information I got from their website. They do amazing work. And that's also one of the amazing parts of DeFi. Everything is open and everybody wants to share with each other and everybody wants to work together with each other, like just as we do that right now. And I think that's amazing. And, if we go to family office or hangout individuals, we show these charts. We have like some financial data. And this is basically the decentralized financial stack that we composed in DeFi Capital ourselves.
Like this.
This is basically our base strategy that we have created, and this is our team. And we also have Mariano and Federico from Uniswap ROI as advisors to our team that will join, that are joining actually, and that will be announced next year. And to the real chats, I show this part as well. Mostly I don't. You see, it's after the thank you page. So if I see, okay, this is somebody that really understands it. It's like, DeFi is a revolution. Let's construct a new financial system, a system that is transparent and open for everyone, a trusted system that minimizes trust for everyone. Let's create a new financial system in a way it always has meant to be. And that's basically what I think DeFi should be.
Yeah. It takes so much time to really like wrap your head around all these different details, but I still find that comparing, let's say, with where we are in finance today with the postal service, versus what email is. Once you try email, you didn't like back in the 90s say, oh man, like I really miss just writing a letter to everyone and having to wait, forever for any sort of communication. You cannot unsee that value. And that's what I think DeFi is, what email for money. It's bankless banking. It's peer-to-peer. It's peer-to-peer financial interactions, but it's juxtaposed against like a peer-to-middleman model. That's the way we've always operated. We have these, we have banks, which I'm not claiming them to be evil. I'm just saying that it was a business model and it worked, and it's worked for a long time, but it doesn't work for the average person. And that's why, like, even just understanding interest rates, the fact that you might be able to borrow at a lower interest rate with DeFi, and that you can earn a higher interest rate if you're on the other end of that. Like these are really simple examples that, we need more of the world to become more understanding about. We need people to become more financially literate.
And it's also about like real world assets on the blockchain. That is really a big spear point also for DeFi Capital. We really want to power real world assets on the blockchain, where we're looking now at invoice financing. Of course, this is a little bit more of a you need to be a KYC person, and so it's a little bit in between. But I think it's very important to like onboard real world assets into DeFi, because if we just keep on pressing UTXOs to each other, so it's basically like pressing tokens to each other, and if there's no real world value being added, then it's not a sustainable growth that we're in right now. But I really see a lot of really cool products coming in 2021 and already here. I see more and more structured products coming to DeFi. I see fixed income products coming to DeFi, and I see like already with Centrifuge doing invoice financing. And this is something we will also do as a DeFi fund, and we will invest in these real world assets on the blockchain, where you can get just a higher API interest than a bank, because you remove a lot of these middlemen. Or for example, CoFounder, we work together with them as well when we have investors that are a little bit maybe still exploring DeFi. Then we link them to CoFounder, which is basically a money market fund, where instead of using expensive middlemen, they use smart contracts. So it's not really investing into DeFi or blockchain, but it is using the blockchain underneath the hoods to give a better return for their investors and make the market more efficient.
So you've been involved in multiple DAOs. I know that you're involved at least in Curve and 88 miles per hour, which is fixed interest lending. It's a newer application, really interesting. Also, too, I always like to call out Curve. I do actually hold that token. 88 miles per hour, I don't. Just calling that out, just in case I have any bias to talk about these. Anyways, as you've been involved in DAOs, I guess, do you believe that DAOs, that we have to be successful in implementing DAOs for DeFi to be successful, or is it possible for DeFi to flourish without a DAO? And maybe you could break down for us why.
I think DAOs will go to a maturity phase, and I think companies like DeFi Capital are the beginning of that, where DeFi Capital is committed to the protocols that we invest in, like MakerDAO, Yearn Finance, Curve, and others, that we will deploy like dedicated people to actually be actively involved in governance decisions and protocols. So it's forming a centralized, invested a professional party that really tries to push these communities to the directions that are best for the long-term growth of the ecosystem. And I think if we see that, then DAOs will become a very, very serious thing. And they already are becoming bigger and bigger. But now it's mostly just individuals, right? And that's really hard for a lot of people. And I have a lot of respect, for example, for MakerDAO or other very early on DAOs.
Yeah,
they structure their decentralization way. And what I see in products like Curve or also 88 miles per hour or other products or PyDAO or other ones, I see a more rapid growth towards decentralization, because most of the projects start centralized, and the decentralization part becomes faster and faster because of companies like DeFi Capital involved that get a stake and professionally get involved, and more people do that. Yeah.
Do you take any lessons from, let's say, like a MakerDAO or Curve? Curve is still less than a year old, and the DAO is less than 6 months old. But Maker especially, do you take any lessons from them about what makes a successful DAO?
Yes, I think it's very important to not be too fast with going decentralized. I think it's very important for the founders to set a very, very clear vision and roadmap. And then once you have that clear roadmap, push it in the right direction and then let it go. I think the most respect I have for Yearn Finance, the way that growth and how the way the Andre did that is amazing, because it's basically became a DAO almost instantly when the token launched. So that is, I think, a very unique thing that happens. And people then think that, okay, if you have a token like maybe more an anonymous token, like, Sushi is also doing an okay job, but like maybe I don't have any good examples. I also don't want to talk bad about any projects, but if you just see a project with anonymous developers, you really have to watch out, because then it's like, well,
yeah,
it's very rare instance that a project actually really starts decentralized. It's very, 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 very hard to execute that. But we will definitely learn from it and make better and better playbooks, I guess.
Yeah, there's a skin in the game when your identity is known, and at the same time, based on some of the buffoonery that we've seen from regulators and governments, I am also an advocate of why someone would want to remain anonymous. The last year I've been fairly cautious with anonymous teams, but then I look at Yearn.finance, and I've just found them to be a remarkable team, and I understand why they would want to remain anonymous, or most of them, other than Andre. You also have Hedgick. Hedgick has started with an anonymous founder and still has they have remained anonymous. And I mean, I feel like they've been so effective in creating this successful community and creating an application that people really need. At the same time, though, it's what you said. Just you got to be on your toes. We're looking for ways in the future to better vet those teams, to know that you can participate, versus just saying, well, be prepared to lose all your money if you put it in. Like, that's not a great game plan to have to tell people that if you participate, you have to always accept you're willing to lose all your money. We have to figure out a way to mitigate that risk.
Yeah, the audits that were done, for example, at the DMS Pub audit, was basically a group of people that did independent audits. So I think you will see that more and more, that it's basically maybe a DAO of people that do like ecosystem or public, good funding, that some independent auditors will actually start to audit different projects. So it's a little bit towards self-regulation. And I think that is interesting development, but it's still a lot of experiments, especially in these early DAOs. Not a lot of people can really read deep Solidity. It's very hard.
Yeah,
very
right. Yep. Yeah. I wish I could at times, but I feel like
be careful what you wish
for me. Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm never going to catch up with all the talented people here. I've got a few more rapid fire questions for you, just because I want to make sure that we cover a few of these topics before we let you go. First off, you're involved with rekt. Anything to share in terms of just like why is rekt so successful at this point? And I guess is rekt like showing us a new journalism model that is taking notes from decentralized finance. Anyways, just kind of curious to dig into how's it going at rekt, because you guys do great work there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm also just a very small participant in the game, and that's the beauty about these DeFi ecosystems that we get. All the people that are now participating in DeFi maybe participate like with 10 different of these protocols, right? So I'm involved in a little bit in rekt, I'm involved a little bit in Curve, I'm involved a little bit in Maker, and with all these positions, you move really fast, and as then a collective, you form a big collective intelligence. And that is basically what happened at rekt. There's some very, very good writers behind it. And there's constant, good articles coming up by basically us. We have a rekt Telegram group that is just public that everybody can join or subscribe to the newsletter. And I would actually recommend everybody to join the rekt Telegram group.
Join that, actually. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I've written for the Defiant and Bankless and others, and it's fun. It's a really just the community, or the fact that you can talk with others who are excited to curate that news and write it. It really was a great experience so far. So I can't imagine how much fun everyone's having there. There was another big story that came up, I think it was just over the weekend. Curve released a pool that has not just, so there's synthetic ether and ether. That's great. Another like asset pool. Synthetic ether is I think is the most liquid synth through synthetics. So that's great. But the pool for a derivative of the euro, what do you think is the significance of this? What's the long-term impact?
It's huge. I think we, a lot of respect for Curve team and everything. Like they move very, very quickly and very, very smoothly, and I'm just absorbing and helping where I can. And I also want to say, if you want to get involved or also want to be more active in the governance of Curve, please go to curve.fi and also go to the governance community forum, and you can see all the activity going on there, right? So what I see here, what Curve basically did was deploying and releasing with all the other pools that they have is a more efficient FX market. Like if you look in the traditional financial FX markets, I'm not a major master finance guy or something, but it looks very opaque and old school. Where at Curve, it's just super efficient, and it would be interesting to see that Curve can generate better yield on FX markets than traditional financial markets. That would be super, super, super interesting to watch that happen. And as far as I know, that is also on the roadmap of the DAO itself. And it's it's about the community. The community wanted to see the EUR-S and as euro, and basically as a collective, it happened, right? So it's not the Curve team or something, because the Curve team is just a very small part in the decentralized ecosystem. It's a whole ecosystem that deploys and thinks about these really cool new metrics that can be created.
I didn't see this coming either. I was very aware that there would be more like asset pools, like tokenized Bitcoin mattered a lot. Synthetic ether made sense. It's a big development. It turns Curve suddenly into it's going to be a mega Forex market, and it's going to be more efficient, and anyone will be able to participate in it, because you don't have a minimum to participate in Curve as long as you're willing to pay the gas. And then all the usuals, you don't have to ask permission. It's, it is trustless. It's exciting. So I guess kudos to
the curve token. I think maybe like staking your curve, having staked curve. A lot of protocols are actually building on top of curve and just buying and selling the curve. But actually, if you do it yourself, if you want to learn a little bit more, if you have a little bit more capital to spend, let's say a little bit more like 10K, 15K, then try to learn it yourself. It's not super hard.
Yeah.
And actually, if you do it yourself and like restake by yourself, it's much more profitable, and you learn a lot by interacting with curve. I learned also a lot from curve by interacting with it.
Amadeo, I have one more question for you. We just learned about the fact that I think like 270,000 customers had their emails, and some of those folks, a lot of those folks had their physical addresses compromised in a data hack. And then on top of that, I think it was Friday or maybe it was Saturday, one of the US regulatory bodies, FinCEN, proposed a bill, this is all overseen by Steven Mnuchin, who's a pretty disliked Secretary of Treasury in the United States. It's a bill to force crypto exchanges to have to KYC non-custodial addresses. So essentially, if you use an exchange, you would have to reveal that, who owns that wallet address, that crypto wallet address, once you go outside of the exchange. So I guess, like, what do you make of all of this? It feels like the world is starting to really get, there's a lot of worry about crypto from big governments and regulators. But then at the same time too, like, we've seen like how sensitive that data is with a company like Ledger that provides a very valuable product. I mean, a Ledger wallet is really important, but at the same time, we've seen all this data compromised. I don't know. How do you make sense of all of this? It feels like there's a lot of chaos recently.
I find it very dangerous. I mean,
yeah.
Let's see how good the government can hold on to that KYC data, right? Or whatever instance. It's going to be a very, very interesting to watch. So that's my biggest worry with the KYC, that you need to KYC and give your address data and stuff for wallets. It's more of a risk that people will do physical actions, because you remove the geographic redundancy, right? So you want to have like, you don't want people to know where you are, right? So that's a big protection, geographic protection, and they basically remove that for protection of people. It's a very, very contradicting statement, in my opinion. But in general, I find it actually bullish what happened with regulations, because it has been a long time coming for regulations to come. So they had to make a move. They had to do something, because a lot of powers are like asking for ETFs, and they're just extending. And actually, in my opinion, by this regulatory body being approved, by just saying like, okay, it's okay, but you need to do KYC, etc. In my opinion, it means that an ETF is coming, and more complexer products where crypto.
I like how you think. This is good. This is a much better. Yeah, I've heard others too say it's kind of redundant. Like, what they've put out is they've said, first off, if you already use an exchange, you've had to KYC, so you've given up some sense of privacy already there. And then if you're sending to a wallet, those exchanges will report, or easily will report if they're requested to do so. It was always there. It was always there as a risk. It's just that, now it's potentially going to just create more issues with transactions more than 3,000, which, I would say, I know a lot of people who get paid in crypto, at least in the US, that work in our space. So, you get a paycheck or whenever you get paid, and you have to run it through the exchange. So they're just making life complicated for us.
This just makes that like projects, maybe payrolling services will be now constructed, and you know exactly which rules you need to comply to, right? So they give us this framework, and it's like, okay, thank you very much. I now finally know which kind of rules I need to comply to. And this was a big question in the space, right? So if these are the rules, that's fine. We will find a way to work with this, right? And it's of course a little bit like, oh, regulations is scary, but I think we can work with this. And I'm actually quite bullish because it's kind of like a little bit of a, you call it like the sword with two edges, right? So the Damocles sword, I guess it's called, but they apply these rules, but if they go further with if they push them even further, they need to comply with their legacy system as well to these strict rules, right? So they did now just the current banking system on these rules, and I think you said that in the previous video. I actually was listening to it as well. Like, it's very funny that they put these rules into place that they use in reg like CeFi right now, that most criminals and stuff use. So they already are equipped with getting past these rules, right? So it's
Right.
it's very funny. So it's just it's to seize power, and it's to suck power away from the industry. But this is what Bitcoin is designed for, and it kind of falls right into the plan. And in my opinion, it's all okay, and we will find a way to work with this. And we will be fully compliant, and we would be happy to work with all the regulators in the world and all the nation states in the world. And we will gain more power, and they will have to talk at the same level with us as we talk to them. And that is what's going to happen.
I think once they get educated, the minds do tend to change in many scenarios. There are a number of senators and representatives in the U.S. Congress who I've been really impressed by. And it's just because they got educated on how crypto works. And it's like, oh, okay, I get it now, versus many others who, make flippant remarks about shit they just don't understand. So, hey, I would love to have you back sometime. There's like so much we could talk endlessly about here with DeFi. And I want to remind everyone, you can follow Amadeo on Twitter here. He writes with Rekt, so check out rekt.news. You can learn more about his firm there at deficapital.com. Amadeo, anything else you wanted to share before we bring Victor on from Spendless?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much to everybody. And in January, we will release our new DeFi strategy. So stay tuned. And
absolutely,
we would love to hear everybody's feedback. And if you want to get involved in DAO, so if you think like, wow, it's really cool, like DeFi and stuff, I would really like to recommend everybody to start using the protocols. If you're bearish on DeFi, start using Uniswap and really start to get involved with products, because that will make the space much better and stronger. So just get involved, do something, even, make a meme, write a blog post. Do that. So, it's all fine.
Yeah. And also, gosh, the most obvious thing, go subscribe to Amadeo's YouTube channel. Just look up Amadeo Brands. It says blockchain and DeFi consultant there. So, hey, man, thanks so much again. I'm going to bring Victor on screen here, and then we'll say bye to you. So thanks so much, Amadeo.
Thank you. See you later, guys. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right, here we go. Victor, welcome to Yield TV, man. Thanks for we're starting a little bit later, but I guess it's only because we're having good conversations here. So reminder to everyone, in case you don't know what Spendless is, we're going to talk all about it here today. I would describe it as it is a savvy way for you to save and earn interest, but to also be able to allocate that interest to charities. So there's this no loss mechanism we'll talk a bit more about, but it also sort of relates back to your origins starting rTrees. So I guess, Victor, on that note, like, do you want to start with what is rTrees and your background there, and then we can start to actually show everyone what Spendless is?
Yeah, sure. Thanks so much for having me on. Sort of to run back to sort of how we got to Spendless and the ideas for it. It really was, I think, a couple of different DeFi protocols that started to really, I think, unlock the potential for redirecting interest. And I think the first one that really, I think, came to my attention and grabbed me was Pool Together, where you deposit DAI into a lottery contract, and the earnings the deposits earn interest, and then the winner of the lottery earns just the interest, and everybody kind of hangs on to their principal that went in there. So you have like a no loss lottery. It was a pretty compelling idea, and two guys made a protocol called rDAI. This was Francesco Renzi and Miao Zicheng at a ETH Berlin hackathon. And the idea there was to generalize the idea of separating interest from principal, and then being able to redirect that interest wherever you wanted. So you could choose the recipients, up to 50 of them, and split it up however you want. And then you go get the interest on your DAI from something like Compound. And so this was a pretty compelling idea, and programmable interest really did sort of grab me, and it kind of had this like, vision in the desert kind of idea of what you could do with easy to use programmable interest tools. And so one of the first use cases that we thought of, I joined up with a couple of guys, Patrick Gallagher and Patrick Otis, who had been kicking around an idea of using interest to donate to plant trees. And we thought, well, why don't we just represent what those trees actually are by making a donation to an organization, in this case, Trees for the Future, which has been around for 30 years or 40 years actually in the DC area. And they have a long track record, and they could plant trees for about 10 cents a tree overall. So we just figured, why don't we use this mechanism to donate the interest to this particular charity and represent to users, what are you actually doing with your money? So you could lock up a certain amount of your DAI and send the interest to the Trees for the Future organization instead of just keeping it yourself. And then we would represent to you sort of what you're actually doing and show you the impact of what your principal is doing. You hang on to your DAI, and you can withdraw or stop donating at any time if you need it back. But this all of a sudden was what we wanted to really show as a new way of interacting with DeFi, a new way of actually showing you what the real world consequences of this redirecting of interest are, and then make it easy, make it fun, make it something that people don't have to sort of, work with, interfaces that are designed for people that are very deep in the stack, or really kind of have to understand a lot of different things about, staking and liquidity provision, just to make something that seems much more friendly and approachable.
Yeah, cool. It's such a cool idea. The programmable interest makes all of this sound way more complicated, but it just means you can do whatever you want with the interest, which in this case, we're talking about donating it, to an individual, maybe like a developer. I did one a long time ago. I did one because someone had created an example for Austin Griffith, and I was like, oh yeah, I would love to send interest his way. But it's nuts, because you could imagine larger corporations one day, like they could make a donation, but it's a no loss donation. And it's a really nice idea. It's an example of like money and finance looking more like, programmable software, or that's what it is here. And doing some real good, doing good that like works right now, and, allowing people to not have to actually even give up any money here. It's just the interest there. By the way, if you wanted to, we're going to focus here obviously on Spendless today, but God, I'd love to even show rTrees just for a moment, because it's such a cool app. So I don't know if you'd be prepared or would be willing to show us just a few examples, but rTrees is really, really cool.
Well, the good thing is we actually folded rTrees into Spendless. The same sort of underlying is there.
I saw that there, and I didn't realize. So it is okay.
Yeah,
I saw it today. I was looking at the dashboard and was like wondering like, oh, what's the purpose now of rTrees if it's all here? So cool,
right.
man.
In
That's
some
awesome.
ways, yeah, this particular product that we're talking about. Actually, do you mind if I share my screen? We can kind of show.
Yeah. Let's because we can just talk through all of this and show people live what it looks like.
Let's see here. Once
that comes up, I'll share your screen here.
I've got to change this.
A reminder to everyone too, it's spendless.io if you want to try this out later or check it out.
Let's see. Oh, it looks like I would love to share a different. I'm on Brave right now, and I want to share a Chrome screen. I'm sorry if this is actually.
Oh my God, no, take your time. No, I was showing Zapper at the start, and it's incredible how many times I've shown Zapper, and yet I'll still like stumble through my words or show the wrong tab.
Do it on Brave. I think the one thing about Brave that's kind of funny is that one of our animations don't show up on Brave. So we're still trying to figure this out. It's still a beta. And so we're just trying to make sure that we got.
No, totally. I get you.
Okay. So
I was doing, actually, we were doing live donations for Gitcoin all last week. And it worked really well most of the time. But the ZK Sync, it's still early days, and ZK Sync saves you like 99% on gas costs. But at one point, I think I loaded it up with like 30 or 40 grants, and I broke it. You're not supposed to be able to use it with 30 or 40 grants at once, but it's incredible what Kevin and them have been able to accomplish. Every quarter, Gitcoin grants become smoother, and ZK Sync has really been a part of that. And they're also funded by Gitcoin grants, so it all comes full circle.
Yeah, totally. So I am having a little bit of trouble sharing. I've got a new laptop and I haven't, I think, configured all.
That's okay. Here, I can pull up mine here.
Is that possible? Yeah. Sorry, I could kind of walk.
Yeah.
There's nothing too drastically different there. So yeah, the idea for Spendless, it's actually a little bit beyond just kind of an extended version of rTrees. And the idea is that you can do a lot with the interest. You can do a lot with a no loss version of an interface. And so I think, one of the other sort of motivating factors here is the idea that DeFi is not especially approachable for normal users. Sometimes the interfaces look really pleasant, but you don't really kind of know, one, how safe a protocol is. Obviously, a lot of them are very new. Another time, you have a sense that there are very short-term kind of yields that are present and that they're going to go away. And so you don't want to sort of make a deposit into a contract where all of a sudden the yield that you're expecting sort of evaporates after a short period of time. So one of the things we wanted to think about was a more sustainable, almost like a slow DeFi interface for end users, where they can come and they can do things and interact with smart contracts that are tested and audited, or at least like have been around a long enough time that they have a higher degree of security. And then they also have a sense that they are kind of sustainable yields. They're going to come out of this, so that it's not here today, gone tomorrow. So things like, Compound, Aave, Yearn, these are protocols that have, shown that they're going to work for the future, right? Because they're based around automated market making. And so we want to start to build products out of these sustainable no loss protocols, but really to curate them. That's really the kind of motivating impetus here, is to find a place where you can do the things you want to do on DeFi, not have to be in there Johnny on the spot at every minute, paying crazy gas prices to get in and out of things, but really to kind of do things that kind of have long range positive financial effects, either through donation, through earning. There's a couple of great sort of projects that are being built out now to even enhance this further. So like Inverse Finance has the ability to take stablecoin interest, right, and then invest it into things like ETH or WBTC. So those kinds of things, I think, are products that we want to explore going forward. But I
didn't know about that Inverse Finance. I heard the name. I guess I'll have to check that out. That's a cool idea as well.
Yeah, there have been a couple of different sort of projects that have been in this sort of vein, but they're live right now on mainnet. They're still getting started. Their audits are still pending. So this isn't something we're going to put in right away. But this is the kind of thing we've been thinking about: is what can you do with your money? How can we make a product that's very clear about doing that? And you have kind of a dashboard for an end user that sort of curates from a bunch of different protocols to give you a lot of options there. So yeah, if I could ask you to click on.
Which one do you prefer I click on? So first off, reminder to everyone, go to spendless.io. You'll just connect to your Ethereum wallet, which I've already done here. And then, should we do earn and give first or earn and save?
Let's do earn and give first. Yeah, this is the one that's sort of an extensible version of rTrees. And so one of the charities that's here is Trees for the Future. We have 3 to start with here. And the idea is that you're not donating and showing your results in just DAI. You're actually seeing the impact of what your DAI is doing. So yeah, we're actually working on optimizing the loading times.
There we go. It could also be my internet's been unforgiving. I've been saying this the last few episodes. So for what it's worth, I think mine is like 70 megabytes per second, and it should be like closer to 1,000 right now. So anyway, here we go. So wake up your DAI, because I've got DAI in my wallet, so we're all prepared here.
Yeah.
And these are different campaigns, is what you're calling it, but these are different opportunities to send your interest.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And so if you were donating to one of these, you'll have an opportunity. And I actually do want to show you something about how we're doing that. You don't actually have to go all the way through with it, but I do want to.
Okay, yeah, just tell me where to click. I could click on the trees, or we could start a campaign, whatever you want.
So if you could just look at one of them just to sort of show you exactly what's going on there. You had okay. Well, it's
Go
loading.
back to that one. a sec.
Yeah, you basically can see sort of how many folks are donating to this particular campaign, and the trees one has a large number because we're using it. The base there is rTrees, which has been running for most of this year, and we've donated over 3,000 trees, 3,300 trees this year, which I think is it's pretty great when you realize nobody spent anything out of pocket other than gas fees.
Cool. I love that. By the way, for what it's worth, I love the design on the website so far. It's just it's really playful looking, which I think we need to get more people involved in this space. So this is for the Internet Archive, and from one user's donating on 150 DAI. So that's cool. And so I could start donating interest.
Right. And if you sort of scale up here, you could sort of drag it over, and it kind of tells you, if you look on the right there, it's going to estimate how much you're going to save what the impact you're going to have in a year will be, and how long it'll take to get there. For, if you're going to deposit that much DAI, it's going to generate a pretty substantial amount of megabytes archived by the Internet Archive there. And again, this is really an estimation based on their sort of like fundraising metrics and what they do with the money that's donated. But it's close enough to real to be able to abstract away. And then you'll see that ticking up in real time. You'll see, when you actually start donating, you'll be able to visit the page, and it'll show you like a twirling ticker that shows you how many megabytes your impact has grown. And then you also get kind of cool 3D models that will grow and get cool.
Oh, like rTrees. So that's cool. You guys took that model of, like, if in case anyone hasn't played with rTrees before, the idea was like, how many trees are you growing? Which again, it's an estimate, but it makes it more of like a fun game to look at that. And so you're already enabling people with programmable interest, which is just, I'm depositing and I'm giving up the fact I'm going to earn some interest. I'm earning it and letting someone else, letting a worthy cause take that interest. And in this case, that's so clever. I see what you've done here then with these other donation opportunities, or these other like charities, whatever you want to call them. I want to see what the other one is here as well then. So one is to grow trees planted, megabytes created, air miles offset.
Yeah, we've partnered with a great organization called Offsetra, and they sell carbon credits to users. You can buy them straight up. You can use fiat or a credit card on their website, offsetra.io, I believe, or offsetra.com. I'm sorry, I got that if I get that wrong.
You could work with Coin Center, and the ticker could be dumb bills proposed, or dumb
exactly, like or
man,
from Niraj.
Oh my gosh, or maybe like throw lightning bolts into what's his name, Rowan Gray, the out of touch professor at Stanford or wherever he is. Maybe someone can educate him on how all of this works. This is so cool, man. I love it. I love what you guys have done with this. Then I guess anything else to call out then in these different charitable opportunities? I mean, so I'm earning interest on DAI right now. Are there more tokens coming or?
We're going to add some campaigns. We've got a module for you to be able to reach out for people that have a charity that they're associated with to be able to start to receive this. We've got some materials to help sort of onboard the recipients themselves to understand exactly how to claim the donations, et cetera. But yeah, we're going to grow out this section of it. I think certainly we'll be exploring some additional things. And then you can also imagine some individual campaigns. There might be short-term opportunities there to have sort of custom campaigns that we won't be putting on our site. But if there's a particular reason that you want to set something up and have kind of a private, Spendless campaign, we'll be able to accommodate that as well. But we really wanted to sort of show people what you can do with this generalized underlying technology for donation using DeFi, and make it a little bit more friendly and wholesome than some of the other interfaces. And so the other product we're starting to launch with is just really, it's just an interface for the Yearn DAI Vault. It's nothing it seems like, for people that spend a lot of time in DeFi, it kind of feels like a vanilla option, but it's also a strong one as far as the yields are high compared to anything you can get in CeFi, and they're even high compared to just earning directly on your DAI in things like Compound or Aave. The Yearn vaults tend to be a couple of multiples higher than that. And so really, this is just an opportunity to show you, another thing you can do with a no loss protocol. And then this one kind of gives you a sense. It's a little bit of a different calculation here because one, there are fees with the urn vaults. So you want to sort of take those into account. And then you also have a little bit more of does this make financial sense for me metric? Because one of the things that's tricky about DeFi is that gas fees can really kind of wipe out the value of whatever you're doing. And it's kind of hard to understand how much your sort of deposit sizing matters there. So we really wanted to kind of show that your deposit and your withdrawal fees, or at least the gas fees themselves, they don't change if you deposit one DAI versus 1,971. The withdrawal fees do for Yearn, we're estimating based on their particular fees that they add. They're small, but they're based on the amounts. And you kind of want to have a better sense for how long it'll take before you get back to in the black and what it'll look like over the coming year.
It's really clever. I'm now remembering a while back, I think we were messaging about just the fact you were telling me that this was coming soon. And I remember this now. This is cool that you call out these fees ahead of time, because it helps the average person then to know, like, hey, based on how much money you're going to pay here today, here's when you would actually be profitable. That needs to become a standard in our space. There's a lot of just tossing money in, and I think for those that spend all their time looking through DeFi applications, sure, it's not a problem because those folks are like full-time working in this space. But I think for us to get more and more newcomers, we need to make these interfaces really friendly like this. So this is the sort of thing where if I'm new and my friend is like, yo, man, go check out Spendless. It's easy. You just deposit your DAI. If I'm about to deposit 600 DAI, I can see, oh, wait a sec, like it's going to take me 335 days to get profitable at this rate versus should I put in more money? Well, sure, like it's up to you, but you would definitely be profitable sooner, and it would be in 119 days.
Right. Yeah, you don't want people giving a lot of small deposits in, right? I mean, the sort of dollar cost averaging sort of model is awful in DeFi as far as the gas fees really eating that up. So you want to, instead of, we thought of a number of different ways to try to convey this and to sort of say, you should try to deposit at a certain size, but we thought just showing you what the results would be, and that would be the best way forward. And I think we're thinking about building kind of a speedometer ticker and kind of a recommendation engine, especially to look at how high gas is right now. If you're intending to deposit and it's the middle of a week and you're on normal time zones where DeFi is really, really common, especially if there's some sort of hot new product out there, gas fees can spike, and this could be multiples higher than it would be if you were able to wait to either later in the day or potentially the weekend. So kind of a little bit more recommendations there would be the next thing we're going to build here.
It's interesting the point you made about dollar cost averaging is it's a pretty popular way to get exposure in crypto, but with DeFi, just because of gas costs, as of today, if I look at gasnow.org, the prices at the moment are between and this is for 15 seconds to a 10-minute confirmation time. It's 38 Gwei to 87 Gwei. That's high. And we'll solve for this eventually with, ETH2 Beacon Chain has launched, which is pretty incredible. In a few years' time, I think this will be just kind of a funny story, a bad memory with the gas prices. But for now, we have to really think about designing interfaces that are more friendly to newcomers. So this is cool, man. I hope others get inspired by this, because the amount of detail that goes into that, it definitely screams the best intentions here. And then also too, you can still see some of the other things here that you and I would take for granted, but just letting people know you can withdraw anytime. Yes, based on current gas prices and rates. One thing you might consider adding, Victor, is I do find that gasnow.org or ethgasstation.info, those are sites that a lot of folks aren't aware of. So that's the only thing I see here. I don't know, maybe that would help to link that for them to check out themselves. But other than that, it looks really clear.
Great. No, that's a good suggestion. Appreciate it.
Anything
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I was going to say, anything else though we should be calling out here in Spendless, or I guess like anything you'd like to share about like what's coming in the near future. We talked about the fact that like more tokens, of course. There's more campaigns when we talk about the earn and give option here. But yeah, anything else that's in the near term roadmap?
Yeah, no, I think there's a bunch of things we're exploring, but again, I don't think we want to commit to saying this is the product, because we really do want it to be something that we feel like not only works, but is also, safe, approachable, and sustainable. And so that takes a little bit of time to vet. But I do want to encourage people, if they check out the site, be sure to join our Discord server. There's a link at the bottom of the page, and there is where we're having conversations about this. And we really do want to hear what people have as ideas here. We've already had a number of different folks in the server describing, products that they would love to see. Some pretty cool ideas about making NFTs out of your giving sort of like milestones, so you can sort of have, humble brag with your philanthropy. So, there's a lot of neat ideas there. I think that's something we'll want to explore going further. But please, if you take a look and you have some ideas, definitely hit us up on our Discord. And this is also something we haven't officially launched yet. We're still in the beta. We'll be making a proper announcement before too long here. But I appreciate the opportunity to show it to you here.
Oh man, no, it's awesome stuff. It kind of reminds me of some of what works well with Gitcoin. I think if you explained a few years ago what Kevin and them were trying to build, it was harder for everyone to understand. Mm-hmm. It was harder for them to especially anticipate the success of quadratic funding and the fact that people donating, I want to say everyone does it for pretty selfless reasons, but yeah, it is fun to donate and to post about it, and the community really comes together once every quarter. There's a lot of love showered throughout the community, not just compliments, but real donations. And this is another example, I think, of money Legos that make it more fun to donate and to do good work. So I'm excited to see what other campaigns you work with. The ones you have there right now are really clever. I'd love to see Wikipedia up there eventually. I mean, they're a behemoth, but their Wikipedia has, troubles. They struggle with this every year. You see the big campaign, they raise all this money. They're one of the most important, I think it's right to call them open source projects in the world. And I would love to see them consider using something like Spendless, because then they could have continued donations without folks having to give up money. I mean, if everybody's giving just a little bit of interest, that can really add up over time. So Wikipedia, if you get on Spendless, I will allocate a fairly insignificant amount of money, since I'm not a whale, but I will allocate it nonetheless.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, we can look into that for sure. Yeah, excellent. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm also a big fan of Zapper, just for the sake of.
Thanks. Yeah. We got to remind everyone, you got to try Zapper. The big updates I was showing at the start were just that if you're in SushiSwap, you can now stake your sushi LPs straight from the Zapper dashboard. So you can do that at zapper.fi/invest. Also, you can claim rewards from that if you're in the Y-axis, YAX, however you pronounce it, DeFi protocol. That's another one where you can stake from Zapper without having to go to the website and claim rewards. And then the last one was Power Pool, the Yeti Index and the Power Index. Both of those have balancer LPs, and so now folks can do that as well. So we should eventually have Spendless. I think there's a whole charity aspect. There's NFTs. There's all sorts of low-hanging fruit that I think belongs in that Zapper dashboard eventually. So hopefully we'll get there. Victor, I guess anything else you'd like to tell folks? I want to remind them they can go to spendless.io. I had to try this yourself while we were demoing it, but you want to try that at spendless.io. And gosh, I should type in your Twitter handle here as well. Is there a Twitter handle for Spendless?
There will be. Yeah, we actually have one. It's Spendless DApp, at Spendless DApp.
Okay, Spendless DApp. Okay, I will put that in here as well. Yeah, man. Anything else that you wanted to call out here? I guess
it's Spendless app without the D. I remember there was a discussion about this, and I misremembered where we landed in the
no, I'll put that in here.
We're going to the point where we don't need the D to modify that. We're apps now, right?
Yeah. Well, it's just funny because during the show, especially like when you're giving like your background or if you're like showing something on screen, I'm like, you can see me going like this, and you're like, is this, I say it every show, is this guy checking email or like, what's he doing? And it's like, no, I'm trying to update these banners so that it looks like this isn't a one-man show. But yeah, everyone, you can follow Spendless app on Twitter, and then also at spendless.io, there's the link to their Discord community, and that's a great place to get in touch there as well. So Victor, if you hang out a moment, I'm going to just close out, just hit the outro video, but I don't know if you got any other questions or just want to talk a minute. Anyways, thanks so much, everyone. This will be the last show that we'll do before Christmas. We'll be back next week. We're going to start doing some DeFi lessons on Monday. Could be like DeFi ABCs by Zapper. I'm not quite sure yet, but it'll all be under Yield TV. And then Wednesdays, we'll keep doing these sorts of interviews with screen sharing. And so anyways, lots to look forward to. We've got ideas for how we can make Yield TV that much better. So on that note, Victor, thank you for your time. Everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day. Bye.